Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is The Wise Ones. The star of our show is no stranger. If you've been here before, his name is Mr. Red.Olaughlin, and he is talented in so many ways, helping people across the world. He is an author. He's a distinguished Toastmaster. He's an award-winning author, I should mention that. He is also a longevity strategist. He is a publisher, and he is one of our experts on talking heads. He's also involved in many other projects that we have here on this platform, and he is my book coach, and he has helped me take all of my books, I think 7 so far, to either being Amazon #1 bestsellers or Amazon #1 new releases. He is a veteran, and he is a man of high integrity. Let's welcome my dear friend. Hello, Red.
Howdy, y'all. Just another wonderful day here in paradise.
You're sweating it out there?
Well, I was out watering the yard and some plants earlier this morning. It's comfortable.
What's it, 100?
No, I think actually right now our 100-degree days are behind us for a while. I think we're only looking at 98s and 99s for a bit.
My kind of weather. I love that. That's Fahrenheit, of course, for our global
Absolutely.
audience. Red, I shared a little bit about your background, but there's so much more. Let me spotlight you, and then we'll bring out our guest.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I'm a researcher. I love looking at what's going on in the human body, cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat a symptom, and you'll always be treating symptoms. That's what I do almost on a daily basis. After this show, there's immediately following this show on the USA Global TV and Radio Network is Talking Heads. And on Thursday afternoons, at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central, is my segment. And I generally cover a topic. It might be Alzheimer's, it might be cancer, it might be a number of different things. But we started last week with weight management. And for most people, that's losing weight. And we're talking today specifically about calories in, calories out. Why does it work? Why does it not work? So if you're interested in that aspect of why does it work for that person? It doesn't work for me. I have answers today, but it's coming up, not quite there yet. But anyway, that's one of the things that I'm doing a lot of research in is to, what causes fat to go into a fat cell? What causes fat to come out of a fat cell? What causes fat to burn? What stops fat from burning? If you know the answers to those questions, it's easier to lose weight than if you have no idea in the world what's going on. Same thing with aging. If you know what causes you to age, you can take some pretty decent steps to decelerate the aging process. Regardless, we're here on the Wise Ones today, and today we have David Denboer. I met David several months ago. He and I are on the Houston Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and one of the things that really piqued my attention about David is the fact that he's involved in cybersecurity. So I asked him to join us on the Wise Ones, and he has, and he's here today.
Welcome to the program.
Hi, good to be on. Thank you.
Nice to have you with us. David, for people who are not aware of what cybersecurity is and the importance of it, can you please tell us?
Sure. Cybersecurity for me is it's pretty vast, but for me, I deal a lot with personal protection online for children, for people that are vulnerable, people that are international, and it doesn't just deal with your devices. It can deal with your Wi-Fi, your home speakers, your TV, and even your cars.
So when we see these things on these spy shows where the CIA or the NRO or somebody is listening in through your TV set or some other way, then that's not unreal.
Well, yeah, it's not unreal, but it's unlikely. I think mainly it's kind of like folklore and a good TV show, but for the most part, it's going to be secure. Change your passwords and change your devices every frequently.
Change your devices. I mean, like get a new phone or a new tablet or a new computer.
Well, like a new phone, but also divvy up what you have on your phone, like one phone for family, one for work, one for friends, and that way, like things are like off like certain networks, like you don't use public networks, you don't put certain apps in certain phones, and it's more secure that way. Just have different devices for different things.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, David. That's really interesting. Oh, sorry, Red. I just had a follow-up question, which is, I've read about this and I've seen television shows and movies where this is featured. And I just wondered, how likely is this to happen to us, where someone actually hijacks our computer? We have the physical computer, but they actually hijack access, and then they make you pay an exorbitant amount of money to get it back. Is this something that the general public needs to worry about?
I think they need to worry about, but I mean, ransomware is usually meant for like companies like corporate or medical facilities or government where there's actually more money. But random ransomware is put on like if you try to download movies or just regular streaming, and a lot of it's locked, like it destroys your devices. But I mean, you have to. I mean, do you really need your device? Like most people don't need their device, and most things are secure through apps and websites anyway. So even just junking a device might be a cheaper alternative and not falling in for the evil ransomware people.
Having a good backup is always a good insurance policy for when your computer's hijacked. One of my neighbors, very good friend of mine, got hijacked. He paid several $100s to get it back. He told me about it afterwards. It was a laptop, and I said, just leave it on and let the battery run down to where it's nothing. Mm-hmm. And when the battery ran out, the virus was gone, and they booted it back up again, no problems at all. Several months later, he had a similar threat where he got that, and he went ahead and just let the computer die a natural death. And again, so I'm not sure that all viruses are easy enough to get rid of that way, especially if you have a laptop that's plugged into the wall. But maybe that's an alternative for some kinds of viral elimination.
Yeah, it is. That's like a simple way of doing it, but also using cloud storage and removable devices like little flash drives or, just portable electronics or, that kind of thing. And to be honest, like most people, like their devices are only like maybe a couple hundred or 1,000 at most, and it's not like a company computer or entertainment or a computer person like me. So it might just be worth it just to get a new device at that point.
Did the military background you have get you involved in cybersecurity, or was that some other way?
I actually got started in the late 80s. My dad had a work computer, an Apple II. He did insurance work for attorneys, and I got started that way, reading the Wall Street Journal, working on his computer, and then moved into the local computer lab. And no one was on the internet in the early 90s, and I was kind of like that first hacker, online. And for me, I was exploring, learning programming and learning arts and creative end of it. And from there, went into the military. It was a high skill, and people needed the late 90s. They needed like a radio man or someone to do like some kind of IT work, and I was their guy.
Interesting, because I had one place in my life where I was stationed, and they would come by every so often, and the term's not degauss, but they would see if there was some bug or something in the rug. Debug maybe is the proper word. And you leave the room for about an hour or two, and they come back and they say, yeah, everything's fine. But that was just part of their normal procedure they did about once a month or every other month or something.
Yeah, I know, for me, I didn't get involved a whole lot in the sweeps because I was younger, I was in my early 20s, but I've heard of that. And also just computer work. A lot of people didn't know how paperwork would translate to computers, and in the government there's a lot of loss of data too. And I had some of that. I'm sure everyone else did. And paperwork conversion to digital was difficult with fingerprints and matching who with who, and that created a problem as well.
Thanks, David. A question I have for you is you're the owner of DED Enterprises. Who are typically some of your clients and what type of work do they engage you to help them with?
Sure. I mean, I started off when I was younger working for websites and computer programming projects like databases and, things were simple like, late 90s, like early 2000. And, it could be anywhere from like an insurance company to school system to like a consulate or embassy. And you name it, I had almost everybody from entertainment contracts to athletes. And, I started off young and, I was able to continue that business later in life.
We hear the term cyberbullying a lot. Is that something that you're involved in preventing, or is that just a thing that happens that there's no control over?
Yeah, I've been involved with that since the early 90s. I was like the first kid on like the first online systems, like the bulletin board systems, eWorld, Prodigy, AOL online. And, I was a young kid online. That's when I first encountered like online pedophiles. And it led my brother to his master's in cyberbullying. Like he was a master's psychology student. And, I was kind of just guinea pig for that. And, I've been very helpful with people internationally as well. And it's just not bullying, it's also cultural violence or historical trauma. And many cultures, as they get more and more on the internet, they're not used to maybe women's rights or what men and women can't do online to their government. And a lot of that can be a form of bullying as well. And I try to help out with that.
So even though you may not have a physical trauma, you can still have PTSD-like symptoms from something just as simple as your computer.
It is. I mean, a lot of people get that online in bullying, and I noticed a lot of nastiness online. Like, I have like younger siblings and, like a lot of individuals in millennials groups, they get hit with that as well. Like the bullying online, it's probably made more dangerous because that's worldwide. That's a permanent record and people can screenshot it. And it's also like dating violence or people sending certain photographs or someone gets hold of the photographs like on your phone, like it's very private and pretty revealing. That can damage someone for life.
I don't think it's damaged Anthony Weiner very much.
Oh, yeah.
So, David, a question I have is you just mentioned photographs of personal information. How do these hackers get into our devices to get it?
Usually for like unsecured things such as like your Google photos or maybe your phone itself, but also people could take your photographs like from a dating site or work site, and some employers too might check that as well, and your social media feeds, and many people can just copy and paste, and it can be a form of spamming or scamming someone, but it all can also lead into maybe like bullying to the next degree, like maybe it can lead to smuggling or ransom of like a person. And a lot of it doesn't have to do on money. It can be very door to door as well. Like now people can come to your door and do delivery, and they can very easily find out who you are, like where you're living, your friends, family. And that can be very damaging to someone's career, but also like maybe their personal lives.
Thank you for that. That's really interesting. And I'm wondering, I know for myself, I've had a number of phones in my life. I've had a number of computers, and I still have them because I have this fear of, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. And is the hard drive really erased? Is the phone really going back to reset? What would you recommend for people to do when they do upgrade to a newer device? What do they do with the old devices?
The old devices, I mean, you can wipe them. I mean, that'd be good, but also take them off Wi-Fi. I mean, like a lot of them, like they don't need to be on Wi-Fi. Their operating system's old, the apps are old, and that leaves it more to like unsecured, cybersecurity measures. So I recommend like trying to get rid of the device or, not even using it because those apps are so old that it's like older computers. You can get access to it if you don't update like your malware bytes, your online virus, or any kind of protection encryption. That way you can very easily get hacked. And it's good just to wipe it clean, just give it right to a recycling plant or sell it off and make sure everything's deleted.
So when we take it back to the factory settings, then that means that it's wiped.
The phone may be wiped, like the reset settings, but like your apps itself, like a lot of things now are on apps, they're not on like the actual phone. So you need to be careful, like where your mail and like your photos stored online. Like you might have to go to like 10, 15 different places to delete it. Like are your things stored online in your Gmail, your Microsoft OneDrive, or your mail that way? And a lot of it's also in the cloud. So when you save things to your phone, it might also be like in an iCloud like mail folder. So you have to actually go to different websites to delete it from like your actual like cloud storage as well.
Is that something that you help people with?
Sure, I can. I mean, like for me, it's basic instruction. Like for websites now, like there's little apps you can create free websites or free blog sites. And for me, a lot of it, like that I used to do like 20, 25 years ago, is very simple now. And I can give courses like 5, 10 minutes long or guide people along the websites, and those simple directions can like pretty much take care of almost anything for free now.
I think a lot of times people get hacked because they go after a phishing scam and they actually open up something they're not supposed to, or whatever it may happen to be. Why don't you talk about that for a few minutes?
Sure. I mean, that's usually called like adware. Like adware is usually like when people are trying to promote things online on a website, and usually like there's like trackers you can limit, like not just your cookie tracker, but third-party tracker and your GPS tracking. And a lot of that is like on almost every website now. So what I would do is just never click on an advertisement. Go right to like google.com. Like make sure when you go to google.com or whatever like website you use for web searches, it's the actual website, not a link to the website. And you have to make sure to clean your web browser, and so you're not going to like a fake web search. And that can be common too, to lead to more adware, and that leads into scams where they download things on your devices, or maybe they just use you for credit card information or false information.
I noticed recently that you can see when there's a phishing thing there because the email or the website or whatever isn't even, say Bank of America, just pick something. It's not bankofamerica.com or BofA.com. It's some weird thing. And you're saying, why would I ever click on that? But then I noticed last week that they're getting even more ingenious. They're mixing the English alphabet with the Cyrillic alphabet. And when you have Bank of America with BA, and that's an American A, and then you get America with the last letter being a Cyrillic A, you don't even notice it. And it's really a fake website because it's not using the right thing. So they've gone to using other similar characters that if you're not really paying attention, it looks real. It just, everything there looks normal. But I ask myself, why are they asking me? And it's unless there's something I requested. If I get a phone call from Bank of America, I didn't ask you to give me a call. So there's a lot of things I think if we just ask ourselves the question, why me? Why are they? That kind of eliminates a lot of things just right off the bat.
Yeah, and the thing to remember, it's not you. It's actually like the mass. It's like a mass promotion. It's like a mass, like legitimate advertisement. Like criminals are trying to fish for people, and 90% of the time they never get a bite. But it's like stealing from like a bank or grocery store. Like a little bit here and there, like might help out, but for them, they're just fishing around for just a random person, like a 10% or less, and that's all they need to like get access to like their money for that year.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very true. I actually know people who have been, they've fallen prey to these. And when you look at what it is and how they were approached, I think, wow, I don't know how you missed that one. But I think when we get bombarded, like, for example, I've been getting for both of my businesses on a regular basis invoices that look legitimate. I don't open them, but I mean, the email looks very legitimate, but I think to myself, I don't know who this is or why they'd be invoicing me because this isn't how I work. So I don't bother to open them. And then another thing that I've been getting a lot of emails from is to the shipping manager. I don't have any shipping, but I'm getting maybe 10 emails a week to the shipping manager, and it's some kind of scam. So I guess they just get bored with one thing and try something else.
Yeah, it is. It's similar to like actual physical crime. Like a lot of people can be paid for like a lookout, like look out for truck stop robbery, and a lot of criminals they can make a lot of money just committing crime a couple of days a month. And it's like that in cybersecurity, even more so. Cybersecurity has more money, more access to more wealth, and more ways to launder money through the cryptocurrency or other trails that way. And a lot of people don't realize that like criminals don't have to work like every day a week like you or me, 40 to 60 hours a week. They can work maybe 10, 15 hours a month and make the same, or if not more. It's pretty simple. It's just pretty simple hit and grab and leave.
So
David,
cyber's, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, Doctor. Go ahead, Dr. Jacalyn.
So for our audience who are watching or listening, cybersecurity is anything that takes place over the internet?
It doesn't necessarily have to be over the internet, because cybersecurity can go through like maybe electricity or like other means. Like it can attach to other kind of crime, like cybersecurity. Like it could be something simple like a scamming like an ATM machine, and it can be as simple as like going to a cash register, or it can be your car door. Like I mean, all these things. Like it doesn't have to be like a computer. It can be an electronic device. It can be almost anything. Like people can just hijack medical equipment. They can turn up and down like life support if they wanted to, or turn your car off and on. And if you have autopilot, they can autopilot wherever you need to go. And it's not just like a computer crime; it can be an electronic crime, or using electronics, like smash and grab with a hammer, like an actual hammer, like a jewelry thief. Like all that can be, financial crimes. It can be like a physical attachment to crime, or the actual electronic crime.
Wow, I had no idea. Did you know that, Red, that so many things fall under that category?
Well, the ATM I've heard about, the car I've heard about. Not I see on TV they hijack the autopilot, the autopilot, or whatever. And I just thought that was just a movie thing. So I'm glad that he cleared that up a little bit. I don't use my beeper to lock my car. I always physically lock it because I just don't do that. I just never fell in love with just beeping a car open or close. So I walk up to it and do my typical, who's in the back seat kind of thing. Of course, here in Texas lately, you don't have to worry about that because they would be just a puddle of water, maybe a dried up puddle of water with our 130, 140 degree inside the car temperatures. But anyway, it sounds like, David, you've had a world of experience. Why don't you share a couple stories about some successes you've had with cybersecurity or cyberbullying or some aspect, because it just sounds like so fascinating. But I think an example or two might help us out a lot.
Sure. I mean, a lot of cybersecurity dealt with is more like intimate, sensitive areas, such as trafficking of minors, like also like adults who might be in domestic violence situations, or military sexual trauma, or all the forms of trauma that are very intimate. And those individuals, I mean, are protected by HIPAA and privacy laws, and a lot of it deals with cybersecurity, from social media and stalking from information you gather that way too. And a lot of people had to be taught that in the shelter. And sometimes I was able to do presentations as a case manager, or peer support, or wraparound specialist. And a lot of those areas, like a lot of people need to be educated, especially like the older population, or disabled, or if people become involved in criminal activity, like even it's small, like they need to be educated in that. And many of those individuals can go on to lead a normal life. Them and their children can be safe, and like after a year or two, usually people will leave you alone. And it's always good to protect yourself, but also let others know, like a safety plan, like an emergency plan. It's like a hurricane preparedness kit, or a military preparedness kit. Like you have to be ready to go at a moment's notice, like necessary food and necessary identity documents, and that includes your kids and animal food. And that's the same thing as cybersecurity. You need like that kind of information to pass along, and that includes their identity documents. And many people, once they learn that, it's also good to have like that form of personal protection that others in your family or support network know about. And I mean, that's like the first start to it. Like that's the first start of like positive like enforcement that I can give to another person.
You mentioned you were with some of your clients have been professional athletes, or I'm going to guess celebrities of sorts. Are they more likely to be hit with cyber security issues than just a local Joe Blow down the street?
Yeah, I mean they are. I mean, like I mean it's hard like to actually get a hold of like the actual person. Like a lot of my people I know, like they're very busy. They're very trackable. It's like a politician, or like someone that's like in the media, or like whoever is famous, or you can track their steps, like physically know like who it is. And a lot of people, like they don't realize, like individuals like in their family or friends or support network, they might get hit more often, and it's very hard to get the actual person. So I mean they do. I mean there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like that stuff in like their business as well. And for the most part, it's they pay a lot more, and like I'm just a subcontractor of it. They have a lot more highly professional people that deal with that. And that's where a lot of my business comes from too, is this some little project, and I don't even know who the client is, but I know, it's worth a lot to them and their brands.
Interesting.
I just watched, I'm not going to say what show, but something on a streaming platform actually last night, and it was really alarming. It was this couple, their life, what was going on, was actually being captured somehow by some kind of hacker, and it was being live streamed on a television show, but they used other characters who looked like the actual characters. So the entire story of what was going on between these two people, and then subsequently other people at their work and wherever, it was all being played out real time. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Does it make sense?
It does. It makes sense. Like what you're talking about, a lot of people have like a parody or a fun show, like, popular media stream, whether it's SNL or Mad TV. And, that is, I mean, that's like another form of crime. I mean, I've never seen someone go through like the media, like an actual advertisement do that. I'm sure it's a smaller circle, they could do that. A lot of people, they get into like the cult fantasies, or, someone's like paranoia, and that can feed into mental health. But I mean, that's a more sophisticated thing. I mean, someone doing that, maybe someone took a lot of effort to do it. I don't know why. I mean, someone would, spend that much time just harass someone. Maybe it's someone thinking it's just funny, but I mean, I don't, unless there's like money involved or actual like defamation or stalking. I don't know like why someone would go that great length to do it. If I've heard of it, and it's common in apps too, like Pokemon Go, ripoffs of apps for kids where they follow the leader and they lead to like maybe like someone beating him up or robbing them, or maybe a pedophile, and that can lead to trafficking or smuggling. And a lot of times, like, there's that kind of tracking ability, but it's general, and I guess there's other ways to do it too, but that's one way.
Yeah, thank you.
I know in some law enforcement deals, they end up and somebody's there with the phone. You see this a lot on TV where they come in there and it's not necessarily law enforcement, but a phone is left and somehow they magically are able to just turn it on. Heaven only knows why, because I think every single phone has some level of security on it. But I know in some cases where it's facial recognition, the phone can be put up to somebody's face. But then again, you have a countdown that at so many seconds, it's going to go back to norm. But one of the things I learned that is if you put GPS on and you hit home, that thing is going to stay on forever, because as long as you keep power to it, because for whatever reason, the GPS overrides that. So once you open a phone and you put GPS on, that phone never shuts down. And I thought that was kind of neat, because a lot of times you get on a phone and it shut down and you can't remember the password or whatever it may happen to be. I just got a phone for my daughter, so I'm going from a thumbprint to a facial recognition, and I'm still getting used to that. That's something new for me, but that seems to be something that I guess if somebody grabbed your phone and was able actually to get it to turn on, they could actually have the phone turned on and kept it on forever.
It is, but also like your apps too have app lock, and like if you added like a privacy lock to each app, it's gonna be difficult. Like if they get beyond the phone, and I mean, for a security standpoint, if someone steals your phone, it might be more difficult now to sell it, but it's also easier for law enforcement or private investigators to track down where it is due to the towers or close Wi-Fi, and even Bluetooth. Like a lot of it can be saved like in a log on your phone, and that's good for security, like in case someone goes missing, or it's a child or older person that's vulnerable.
There was some cases here recently, legal, where I guess, I'm not sure it's the FBI, but somebody was trying to get into an iPhone. And I guess there's an automatic thing that if you try a password 10 times, it locks it out for 48 hours or what, I don't know. But anyway, so there are some, I guess, inherent protections within a device that you stop people that kind of guess maybe it's your birthday or whatever it may happen to be as your password or your PIN or whatever. So do you think that most devices just by themselves are fairly safe if they're left turned off?
I think most devices are safe. It's the apps. Like your actual phone is more like a streaming device. It's like video game streaming or your streaming TV. It's not really the device that connects to the internet. It's like what's on the internet. And I think people need to realize that it's not your phone anymore. It's maybe a very small part. It's actually like what your TV or your phone connects to. And that's through the app, like your application and what you're typing to. And then through that app, it can go to like a third party or a contractor if you have like add-ins or macro, like other programs that attach to certain programs. Like you can get all kinds of things through Facebook that might gather your like data through Facebook. So there's endless possibility of contractors and subcontractors, and it all goes through the streaming app now.
Okay, so if I'm a business, go ahead, Dr. Jacalyn. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So, David, a question I have is when we delete an app or we delete an email, let's say with the app, is our information actually gone?
If you delete it through the actual app, like if you have Twitter or Facebook, you can close your account. And then they say you can revive it within 30 days or instantly delete it. And a lot of that depends on the actual website servicer, because the website might not just be the app. Like the app might connect to a website, and many things on the App Store, Google Store, it doesn't go through like one company. It can go through hundreds or thousands, and you need to understand a lot of those advertisements, that ransomware, that adware, all those trackers and GPS and cookies, like the things that lay in your phone are also in the websites, and many of those things are difficult to track and erase. So once you put something online, it's healthy to know that it's always online, but you can try deleting it and scrubbing like your device yourself and the apps, but it's all up to like when you post it, like within 24 hours, it can be anywhere. And from that point, it's very difficult to erase it. I mean, most people don't have to worry about it, but if you want to enter like politics or upper level management, a lot of that's recorded. And when you post something, it's pretty permanent. So, I mean, try to be careful not to like post like a photo or say something online, like whether it's for a friend, or try to do things offline when it's not recorded.
Generally speaking, once a week I'll do a disk clean and a defrag, and I'll actually turn my computer off and leave it off overnight. Sometimes when I'm getting a slow response, something that just seems abnormal, whatever I'm working on, I do the same thing right then and then. I just do a restart rather than turn it off. But for business owners who have a lot of valuable data, who have a backup plan, is it a good idea to turn your computer off periodically and leave it that way, or do a defrag, or is there better ways of protecting yourself?
I mean, like with your computer, like with a work computer, like it depends on like if you have like your security inside. Like I know a lot of like network administrators can like they can manage that directly, and they can open and close like ports, like how to get online or what's available online. And many things are very restricted, like a restricted browser or restricted apps, like for certain people. So a lot of that's already handled by cybersecurity people through a company. And every once in a while, I agree, like not just change the device, but just turn off the device. But also don't use Wi-Fi. Don't use like your internet device. Directly connect to the internet, or form like a personal website. Like a lot of things can be done through like a temporary Bluetooth connection or temporary Wi-Fi thing. Like your actual computer can form like a Wi-Fi signal, like your device, and you can connect that for like less than 10, 12 hours. And that way, like it turns on and off, and it always changes. And it's like a phone number. It's good to rotate a phone number, like you do an email, and you can also encrypt like your email and phone number, so people call like undisclosed number, but they get to you. And that's another healthy way to do it, like for an actual computer and information on like a computer system.
There's
David, I have a
Go ahead, Dr. Jacalyn, please.
Sorry, I have a follow-up question to Red's question. So if we're in a public place, let's say we're at the airport or we're at a coffee shop, and we connect to the Wi-Fi, who can actually see our information, and what information can they potentially see?
It's like anybody on the planet. We're all connected to the internet. It could be anyone like remotely on the internet, and those high traffic areas like are filled with, all kinds of bugs or people looking for information. And it's not someone like that's traveling that's doing it. It could be like some kind of virus they picked up or whatnot. It's like that in subways, and if they have Wi-Fi or like random city Wi-Fi's. And so I would be careful like going on those sites, but also be a good idea to be careful of the mobile part as well, because when you're in high traffic areas, like it might be a good idea just to turn it on and off like you do on a plane, like it's like a mobile site, like an airplane mode. And it might be a good idea every once in a while just turn it on and off unless you absolutely need it. Like if it's for a phone call, that'll work, but I mean you can also turn certain parts of the phone on and off, and that might be a better option too.
And what about if we have a hotspot? Is that is that safe because if you have your laptop and you don't connect to Wi-Fi, it's not going to work.
A hotspot is actually probably a little bit better. It's like an actual like mobile device, and the hotspot can actually directly connect to your device, and depending on the hotspot, can have a personal Wi-Fi. And a lot of computers do that now too. Like your phone can do that. Your phone can be a personal hotspot as well, and a lot of those things can be turned on and off at your leisure, and they might be more secured, like to do your things offline or do it on airplane mode, and just type it in, use the internet for an hour or two, and then go your own way. And might be better just it's called metering, like metering your connection and making sure you turn on and off like when you actually need to use the internet. It's like your power, like during the hot months you want to control your power, water or gas, and the same thing with your phone.
Thank you.
Okay, so if I turn my internet off when I'm not using it, in other words, I'm working in the office, it's 3:00, I'm getting ready to go to a meeting or something, rather than turning the computer off or whatever, just physically turning off, disconnecting from the internet provides me a better level of security than just leaving it on, come back tomorrow and turn everything back on again. Is that a fair statement?
It is, but it's also like kind of like filtering like your devices, like your work devices go to certain places, and it's also healthy for mental health as well. Like a lot of people don't realize it, like leaving your stuff at work or leaving your personal life with your personal life is a better option, and a lot of that involves your devices too, whether it's your laptop or your phone or whatever you're using. And it's also good just just be careful like what you bring around you, because if you bring your work computer on your personal, you might be forgetful. So it's good to make sure like what you're like posting to, but also where your devices are and who they're near, because that also shares information, and that can be used for any number of things.
I noticed some TV commercials nowadays. I can't remember the exact acronym they're using, but it's something that you're at the airport, you're on your computer, but if they can't see you, they think you're in Paris or Istanbul or someplace like that. You're familiar with that service, I'm sure, that app.
Yeah, the VPN, like a virtual private network, like that's one form of encryption. You can disguise like your GPS, and that is temporary. Like that also has like usually a mobile limit, or that's also very trackable. I mean, like it goes through certain apps, but you also have to question like why would someone need like that bridge, like a dark web or a random VPN? Like a lot of companies provide an encryption, whether it's 250, 60K, like like encryption or whatever, like kind of process, like a military grade or corporate grade, and a lot of this stuff can be pretty cheap to get on your phone yourself. And the question is like, why would someone need that? But I mean, it's also healthy to have to play with, but you have to be careful, like the generic site. You have to use a reputable site for a VPN, so you're not tracked by that site for, like a false advertisement or being misled.
Okay, so if somebody's offering it to you for $1.99 a month and the going rate's $20 a month, yeah, that's probably something to be weary of.
I would. I mean, like when there's a price reduction like that, but also like, why? I mean, the question is like, why would someone need like to do that? Because someone could instantly tell like you're not on it, like, not just based on your phone, but your social media app. Like a lot of apps like Facebook or Twitter, they might not actually record that GPS signal. So a lot of these VPNs, like they're very cheap, but they don't actually filter into like actual apps. So someone that's like actually more knowledgeable will know like where you actually are through your actual streaming app. So you have to be careful like what you're using the VPN for. It's not actually going to work through an actual app usually, and you have to be very careful. Like even if you have apps in your phone, like maybe if you want a VPN, like one phone just has the VPN and basic things, but for the most part, someone's going to be able to quickly tell that you're actually lying and using a VPN.
Okay.
David, I have one question as we come to the end, which is many of the social medias, if you want to post something, you can tag your location, and I have my location turned off. But if I had it turned on, who would know where I was and why would they care?
I don't know like why someone like normally would care, but I mean, every once in a while someone runs into someone like in their personal work life, and you just don't know. Some people just actually think it's funny at first, or someone randomly does it, and maybe it's healthy not to do it, but also for security, like it's also good to tell people if you're out late at night for a date or out with a friend, and it's also good to have your tracking ability shared with certain people. And a lot of apps will let you share your location with friends and family, like Uber, Lyft, or WhatsApp will do that, and that way it's a more secure transfer GPS. And it might be better to go that route as well for extra protection.
I generally, as a policy, I don't post anything that I don't want people to know I'm gone for a week or something like that. So if I'm gone, I come back, then I post. I have people checking on the house. I get some good neighbors. But if people know that I'm in Paris, I'm telling them that I'm gonna be there 3 weeks. Not that I don't trust the people who look at it, but that just gives the honest crooks an advantage.
I agree. Yeah, I mean that's very smart. Just let your family know, and it's also I have two nephews too. Like my brother, I mean he sometimes posts some things, and my sister-in-law, and some of that can actually be tracked. Like if you know the general location, like what stores did you go, like who else is in the background. That can involve a lot of minors too, and that can lead into like very interesting crimes too for law enforcement. Like people can tell by a photo, and even the photo itself, even if there's no GPS or tags or anything online, it can actually tell through a photograph like where people are in the background. And someone that's a little more knowledgeable can Google like a high school team or little league team, and they can find that through an advertisement on some billboard in the background as you're driving. And that way it's also a good way to tell like where someone is like GPS wise, is what's in the background, what's the ad, and what's on the music station, like what's the music station playing in the background. And you can find that through almost anything, live TV, live radio, and the possibilities are endless.
Well, I
Those
think
are really good points. I was just going to say one more thing. As I said, this was I wasn't going to say anything else. We're actually on an island, and we found out last night that 5 cars from homeowners, luxury cars, they've been stolen. And last week, I think there were 7 cars that were stolen. And you wonder, how do they do what they're doing? But obviously there must be some, and this is not cybersecurity, I guess, but there must be some kind of strategy that they had in order to be able to do this.
I mean, the strategy, like, I mean, a lot of people, like, when you get to remote islands like that, like, there might be more income, like, wealth, and a lot of people, for them, like, that's more like a mall, like, that's a mall, that's like an easy picking area. And, I mean, I'm not sure how they specifically found it, but I mean, a lot of people, like, they might operate in a team and it might be international. And I mean, for them, it's just like more like the money, like the more information gathering you do, it's like intelligence gathering or analyst data. Like, a lot of people can figure out where to make a quick, easy buck. And I think that's just generally they randomly found a place, and there's a lot of places to find to use. And it could be a small thing. It could be like the gas station. It could be the convenience store, because when you get more remote, like an island or close to it, it can be very easy to pick and choose like where people might spend more money, and that's another way to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's like a captive audience.
Well, it looks like we've come to the end of our day today. David, how do people who is a good client for you, and how do they get in touch with you?
Anybody's a good client for me. Like, a lot of times, like right now, like I can help out people, like whether they need STEM research or train the next generation of programmers or cybersecurity professionals, and also corporate people. Corporate people want to like me to make a presentation while it's remote, in person, or work on the computers. I mean, I'm open to anybody. I also have like residuals, commissions through like clients I've had for like 20 years or 10 years, and I mean, I'm open to anybody, like for any topic, whether it's the programming, the cybersecurity, the entertainment application, or international finance. And I even help a lot of veterans, uniform service with, the leadership I do. And a lot of it involves computers or just typical mental health with devices.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. This has been very interesting. I really appreciate the shares and the fact that you connected your community on Facebook and Twitter. We want to welcome them and thank them also.
No problem. Thank you. I'm glad to be on. If you need me on again, or I can do any kind of referral, I'm happy to be here.
Now, for our video audience, they can see shagdog.com, but it's for the audio audience we have out there. It's shaggdogg.com, and your email address is D as in dog, E bear, BEAR @asu.edu. And so David Denboer, DENBOER. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, it is. It's like BOER, but like with an E.
Okay. And he's the owner of DED Enterprises. He's a cybersecurity specialist. And please, if you have any questions or needs, please contact him. And I really appreciate you showing up today there, David. Thank you.
Thank you. Anytime.
Thanks,
I appreciate
David.
it. Have a good 4th weekend.
I
You
shall do
too.
my
Stay
best.
safe. No pun intended. Haha. Bye. I really enjoyed that, Red. That was very informative, and I certainly took away a few things that I wasn't aware of.
Likewise, very
Yes.
definitely, I did too.
All right, my friend, I'm going to spotlight you for you to tell people where they can find you. And are you taking on new clients?
I am actually. I write, I speak, I author books. I help other authors get their books written. I also publish books for people. So those are the things, the services that I offer. I also do a lot of speaking. Our next topic coming up here in about 14 minutes and 30 seconds or so is Talking Heads on the USA TV and Radio Network, the Global TV and Radio Network. The topic today is on weight management, and we're getting into the basic equation, calories in, calories out. Why does that work for some, not for others? And a lot of good answers coming out of today's event. So you need to get in touch with me. I'm at red.olaughlin.com. That's red like the color, R-E-D. O'Laughlin spelled O-L-A-U-G-H-L-I-N. So it's RED-OLAUGHLAN.com. My website has my email address and my phone number. That's my preferred method of calling. Just get on the phone, give me a call, and you send me an email. More than happy to try to help you any way I can. So, Dr. Jacalyn, I got to get my track shoes on to get over to that other studio, and I will join you over there as quickly as I can. So, take care.
All right, I'll see you there. Thank you.
Okay. Bye now.
And thank you to everyone who is watching or listening. If you are on our YouTube channel, please do subscribe. Just click subscribe, USA Global TV and Radio. And if you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, we have about 40 different shows you can choose from. Go over to our website, please, which is usaglobaltv.com/book your session. Thank you again to David, to Red, and to all of you out there who are watching or listening. We will be back shortly with Talking Heads, and we hope to have you stay with us. Thanks again.